Joins us now on RT. Welcome to the programme. The teacher's been suspended. The wording of the apology shows that the school is very much in tune with the offence that's been caused. Is that suspension going to be enough for the angry parents, do you think?
Well, I think there's a due process that has to happen. I don't see when children have been deprived of their education this past 12 months during this pandemic, that it's appropriate for a school teacher to show a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad with a bomb in a turban. I just don't think you can justify that. And, I've always said this, and I've said it on RT many times. Our faith is not immune from any criticism or challenge, but that's going to be done in a tolerant and respectful way. And in these circumstances, I just don't think you can start to, when you see Islamophobia, when you see Muslims being held responsible for the actions of a small minority, you then use that as an opportunity to stereotype Muslims. And I think that's the issue here. And I think it was wrong for the teacher to do this. And I hope that people are able to protest, but protest in accordance with the pandemic rules and allow the school to make their inquiry, and for the due process to be concluded, and people should go home because they know that this matter is being dealt with by the authorities.
Try as the school might to be able to draw a line under this as far as this particular incident is concerned. As you and I both know, these kind of rows take on a life of their own, don't they? That row over freedom of speech versus the freedom to offend is just has a tendency to run away with itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, because we have people on the right who will hijack this issue and make it into a right and wrong issue. For me, it's absolutely about decency. It's about respect, and it's about tolerance. As I said, if you want to challenge and question my faith, you can do that in a tolerant and respectful way. I have many friends who are not Muslim, and we have heated discussions and debates over the dinner table when we used to meet before the pandemic, and those will continue. But the idea that you publish a cartoon in an area that is predominantly where the pupil are two-thirds Muslim, and not expect a reaction of people being upset and angry by the depictions of the cartoon is very clear. And we wouldn't allow that to cloud our judgment in how we react to these issues. And I think it's very important. We can maintain a peaceful response, and we can use the due process, but we mustn't allow anybody on the right or anybody from within the Muslim community to try to take advantage of this.
Forgive me, is that not a little naive? Because as you and I both also know, for every angry parent in Batley or member of the Muslim community that's going to try and explain why this is a problem, you're going to get at least one other person saying, this is Britain, free speech, we can say what we like, it's the freedom to offend. We're living in a climate where you can weaponise anger. Yeah,
and we're living in a society where if those people want to express their freedom of speech, then we, as British Muslims, as Democrats, as proud citizens of this country, have the right to challenge and question and counter that. This idea that depicting the Holy Prophet Muhammad and dishonouring him, is something which is applied to other faiths, that's not the truth. The fact that we in this country and around the world, Muslims are held to a different standard. Our faith isn't hijacked. Our women, how the people are dressed, the way we eat halal food. Every aspect of our life is under the microscope. And if we continue this rhetoric, if we continue this dialogue, then we fall into the trap of the far right, and we see what happens in New Zealand, what happens in America, and what happens in Canada when the far right attack and use violence against our community.
And at the risk of maybe oversimplifying what the problem is here, why is it not okay in a context like a classroom for this kind of issue to be raised, to be discussed, and for images to be presented in an appropriate way so that impressionable young minds and non-Muslims can discuss tolerance, acceptance, and why these things are or aren't a problem?
Why would you feel the need, if you just want a discussion, to show an image of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and with a bomb in his turban, without, to a majority Muslim pupils? I don't think that's appropriate. It's wrong. I would never disrespect the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, the Hindu Sikh faith, because it's based about tolerance. And so, yes, let's have a discussion. Let's talk about freedom of speech. Let's talk about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's life and times and contributions to world communities. But let's do that with a bit of respect and tolerance. That's what we're asking for. We're not asking for preferential treatment. We're asking to be treated equally. And the reality is we haven't been treated equally. Our faith has been demonized and attacked these past decades. And the Prophet Muhammad's status is something which we're not prepared to compromise on.
Is there a danger that this row could just ignite the worst ends of this discussion in terms of if the school just suspends this teacher, there are going to be significant proportions of the Muslim community who are unhappy at that. If the teacher gets sacked, that's going to ignite the other side.
Yeah, it's a very delicate situation, and that's why we shouldn't have been in this situation. It's absolutely right that the school have apologized and taken responsibility. There's a due process that has to be followed. But anybody who's advocating any sort of violence towards a teacher or anybody else, I would condemn that, and I would do absolutely everything in my power as a Muslim organisation based in the United Kingdom to whatever we can to protect that teacher, because violence is unacceptable. The moment you start using violence, you fall into the trap of what people want us to fall into, and we're not prepared to do that.
As I said, some very difficult conversations at Batley Grammar School right now. Mohammed Shafiq, good to have you back on RT International, Chief Executive of the Ramadan Foundation. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.